Brought to you by Golf Pride.
Welcome into Morning Drive on the weekends. I am Gary Williams. It's great to have you with us, and it's great for me to be able to spend the time with the likes of John Cook, 15 times a participant at the Masters tournament. Jaime Diaz, one of the great writers in the world of sports, and of course Matt Adams, his radio program, Fairways of Life, can be heard anywhere in the world, Monday through Friday. And guys, all week long on Morning Drive, we've been reliving great moments from the Masters. And on this date in history in 2004, pretty special day for Phil Mickelson. He makes birdie on the 18th hole, and he defeats Ernie Els by one shot to win his first Masters title and his first major championship in his 46th major championship start. Now, 6 years later in 2010, Phil would become the 8th player to win at least 3 Masters with his 3-shot victory over Lee Westwood. Mickelson had a bogey-free 67 to give him his 4th major championship. You know, we will continue our wall-to-wall coverage on Golf Channel today, starting with Nick Faldo in 1990, his Masters victory. That was back-to-back. Our own Damon Hack interviewed Sir Nick, and you can see that on Morning Drive's social handles today. Then at 1:30, watch Jack Nicklaus with the miraculous back 930 to claim his 6th green jacket. We've got the best lessons ever from Masters champions at 5:30, followed by Phil Mickelson's winning press conference from that first major championship victory as we continue to celebrate the Masters at 6 p.m. Eastern. Then in prime time, it's Golf Central Live from the Masters in 2019 when Tiger Woods made history. We'll have more on Tiger's historic win tomorrow for you here on Morning Drive. But right now, guys, you know, this event that started in 1934 has extraordinary history, although it is the neophyte among the 4 major championships. But John, for you, your first start was 1979. You won that U.S. Amateur and got your invitation. You played well. You finished 39th. What makes the Masters the Masters?
Well, it's great to be with you guys, and this is a very, very special week. But, you know, just driving down Magnolia Lane and soaking this all in. As a young kid, you're on the putting green and you're putting for putting to go to the Masters or putting to win the Masters. And when I got through that quarterfinal match at Plainfield, Gary, all 4 of us that won our quarterfinal matches said, "We're going to the Masters. This is all about." You know, as a young kid growing up, that's what this was all about. So when I first got there and I'd heard so much about it from my great friend and mentor, Ken Venturi, who came so very close on a number of occasions, this is what this was all about. Driving up Magnolia Lane, seeing that iconic clubhouse, you're playing your practice rounds. I played my practice rounds that first year in 1979 with Tom Weiskopf, Ken Venturi, and Ed Snead. The amateur dinner that you attend, the committee people, that the guys there, you know, telling you about how great the tradition of the having amateurs in the event was. All the way on to my first round pairing with Gary Player, the defending champion, and just, you know, soaking in the practice rounds and the people and the par 3 and everything about the event was so great, and it was so steeped in tradition. And you felt it when you got there, from the locker room to the practice area to the pitching greens, like I said, to the practice rounds. People are so excited about it. I wanted to learn so much about Augusta National going around the golf course. And Gary, you and I have talked about this many, many times. I was so excited and jacked up to be there. I practiced myself straight out of form by Tuesday night. I was I had won the Masters probably 4 or 5 times by Tuesday afternoon. My caddies were all excited. My game was always in good shape. But walking around the area, it just was so important to me. And you know, I remember in 1987, I had the first round lead and getting walked into the great press center down there. Jaime, you remember that? It's just very, very special, from the first tee ball that you hit the first time you're there to walking into the media center for your very first interview in front of all the great journalists there. It just was a very, very special place.
Yeah, I remember that interview, John, believe it or not. But anyway, I think with the Masters, a lot of hair, a lot of great hair. Course is so distinctive. You know, it's probably the best stage, best arena in all of major championship golf. And it's so spacious that it really encourages high risk, you know, thrilling golf shots. And you have the back 9 with, you know, the par 5s, almost actually par 4s and a half. And those, allow all this risk reward. You see a lot of volatility, a lot of big stroke swings. And that's why you have so many great finishes, where guys come from way behind, or sometimes players, unfortunately, give it away. And then all those traditions you talked about, certainly, I mean, the ceremonial first tee shot, thrilling. I mean, I saw Sarazen and Snead, and now Jack and Gary, the champions dinner, Bobby Jones, the whole tradition, and the way that he poured everything, and he may have known and expressed it as well as anyone in terms of everything about golf, and he poured everything into the Masters. And then finally, all the players that have won there, it's almost a validator of who's great. I mean, you start with, Nelson, Snead, Hogan, Palmer, Player, Nicklaus, Watson, Ballesteros, Faldo, Woods, Mickelson, Bubba. All those guys have won multiple times, and there's no accident. Those guys had the most game in terms of power, in terms of being able to really hit shots that other guys couldn't hit. So in a sense, the Masters is, the place where the great player can really shine. So all those things make the Masters.
Jaime, I think some of those things that make the Masters as well go to the tradition that you were talking about. It goes to the golf course, the stage, as you put it, and also goes to Bobby Jones, because there's a connection between when what was then known as the Augusta National Invitational started, as Gary noted, in 1934, and what's going on right now, today, in the world in which we live in. When that tournament started in 1934, it was in the throes of the Depression. Now, Bobby Jones, who had retired after his Grand Slam in 1930 at the age of 28, was still seen as a national hero. And here he is starting this tournament and inviting his dear friends down to Augusta National. And it gave the entire country, not just sports fans or golf fans, but the entire country, something else to concentrate on during a time that was otherwise very, very dark. Think about that for a second in terms of where we are right now. That stage itself, and as you can see in this beautiful shot, he was trying to build a course that was essentially an inland St. Andrews old course. And think about, even with the modifications over the years, how well this design, Gary, has held up to the ravages of time. And I think time is the ultimate definition of the Masters, because whether you're looking back or whether you're looking forward, the Masters has this ability to always seem timeless.
And that's very true. I think one of the reasons it's also held up is that it has the greatest resources to try to combat the athleticism, the technology in the game. To me, when you think about why it is what it is that there's a phrase that we're all very familiar with, that familiarity breeds contempt. Not there. Familiarity brings peace to us every April. It brings comfort. And for players who go back there, John, you never quite solved the puzzle, and you just couldn't get over your exuberance when you got there at the beginning of the week, that you were gassed by the time it was for real on Thursday. But if you look at who wins there, on average it takes players about 6 starts to put all the pieces together. And to me, it's that familiarity, that you understand the angles and the requirements of where to miss it, where to hit it. And it's such a fine line. Playing there, it's like you got to have confidence, but you got to have confidence with a shot collar on, because if you cross that line, and even the fans know, John, if you miss it in the wrong place, you're going to be lucky to make bogey. You may be inclined to make a double. And that, to me, is why that place is so special and so mystical. And Matt, I come right back to you. With that being said, it's not the beginning of April. It's not going to be the middle of November. Can they replicate all those things, and can the Masters be exactly what it has always been to us in April? Can it be that 10 days before Thanksgiving?
I absolutely think that it can, Gary, because one of the things that, from the standpoint of excitement, that really turns us on about the Masters is the fact that the last time that we saw major championship golf traditionally was the PGA Championship, and now with the schedule that we had that was new, it was the Open. So here the first will be last in 2020 with Augusta National. So where it starts our season, and when I say that, I'm not being disrespectful to all the tour events that have taken place before it. I'm talking about 90% of the country that traditionally sees the Masters as the start of their golf season. And the fact that they also claim ownership to the memories of the Masters. How many of us were brought up thinking about the memories of watching the Masters with the person that probably introduced us into the game? And now, in this year, it will be the final major of 2020 scheduled. So it will be a celebration of having come through all of this and will send us off into the holiday season. I think, Jaime, from the mixture of all the things that is Augusta National for 2020, you can't be in a better place.
You know, you may be right. It may end up being the most special Masters of all. It'll look differently. It'll be golden as opposed to maybe, the incredible green that it achieves in April. And it'll probably play a little bit longer because it'll be colder and maybe there'll be some wetness and hopefully it'll be dry. But I think the big theme of the Masters is always renewal, the sense that this is the new year and this is, as you said, the new golf season and a new start for, maybe a chance for the Grand Slam. This year, I think it'll be about renewal in terms of everything the world is going through and the country's going through with this awful virus that has changed our lives. And we're going to be so hungry to start again. And if the Masters gives us that opportunity, it'll feel like a fresh start. There'll be other majors, but there'll be something special about the Masters being the finale. And I think that'll be something like, let's go into the next year, a new country, a new place. I mean, golf can be symbolic. And I think if golf needs a symbol, or if the world needed a symbol from golf, the best one would be the Masters.
And Jaime, I would add this potential wrinkle. The person who wins the Masters, if it is in fact played in the middle of November, we know now you're not going to have to wait, what used to be the customary 250 days, maybe more like 140. Somebody has a chance to go back to back and back to back, meaning winning the Masters back to back, but also winning the last and then first majors of the calendar year 2020 and then the first of 2021. John, the significance of winning, will the significance be heightened, be the same, or just be different winning the Masters in the middle of November?
Guys, you've said it, so eloquently and so well that the Masters, is kind of that bridge between what's going on now and the reality of sports coming back. Ben Hogan once said, if the Masters didn't play for any prize money at all, I would still be there and trying just as hard. And I think every single player in the field will be feeling the same thing, that it doesn't matter when it's played, or the time of the schedule or what's going on. It is the Masters, and it is it's that thing that you played for when you were a little kid. As I said before, it was you got you in the Masters. You wanted to win the Masters. This was to win the Masters. So I don't think it. I think it doesn't matter when it's going to be played. The significance of being the Masters champion will carry the same weight that it does in April. And like Gary, like you said, you could win it again in April. So it's a unique situation. It is the way of the time right now. But hopefully things will get back to semi-normal and new normal. But make no mistake, every player there, doesn't matter when it is, wants to have that green jacket, and they're going to be trying just as hard. Absolutely.
Well, one thing, you won't have nearly as much time to prepare that Champions Dinner, whoever does win it in the month of November. Guys, I look forward to being back with you again on Sunday. And our coverage, wall-to-wall today here again on golf. We've got a lot to share with you, including Nick Faldo, 1990, going back-to-back. The last person to have done that was Jack Nicklaus in the middle 60s, 65 and 66. That 1990 victory, well, Damon Hack interviewed Sir Nick. You can see that on our Morning Drive social handles today. And at 1:30, watch Jack Nicklaus with a miraculous back nine to claim his 6th green jacket. We've got the best lessons ever from Masters champions at 5:30, followed by Phil Mickelson's winning press conference from that first major championship victory in 04 as we celebrate the Masters at 6. Then it's prime time at 7. Golf Central live from the Masters from 2019 when Tiger Woods made history. And we're back with you again on what is generally a championship Sunday. Be safe, stay well. We'll see you tomorrow.